to Super Tuesday, presented by Progressive here in Laramie, Wyoming. Battle of two Mountain West teams. Utah State on top 25-16 to start of the second half. Justin Bean only 2 points in that first half for the Aggies, and we talked about it, the big three, Merrill, Cada, and Bean combining for 11 points. The Aggies getting a lot of bench production in that first half. Eric Rothman, Richie Schuler here with you at Arena Auditorium in Laramie. And the shooting struggles continue out of the break. An offensive rebound, however, and that is the first bucket on 6 shot attempts for the freshman Kenny Foster.
And you talk about Utah State's three-headed monster, 11 of their points, but how about Wyoming? 2 of their top 3 scorers have yet to score. They're 0 of 7 from the field, and Hunter Thompson and Jake Hendricks, they've got to get those 2 players going.
They try to triple team Mimi Cada.
Good luck.
Yeah. I think at some point some teams are going to start throwing 5 guys at him.
He's that good. As season progresses, he will only get better.
Uncharacteristic 4 turnovers in the first half for Cada. As the 6'10" Hunter Thompson, right on cue for you, Richie, gets his first bucket of the game.
It's exactly what they need. He's a pick and pop player, and he's a guy that can screen, step out, hit 3-point shots. You saw it right there.
Cowboys shooting 32% from 3-point range on the season. Tonight, though, just 3 of 17. That's 18% if you don't have your calculator at home. Brock Miller for 3. He matches for the Aggies.
I'm telling you, when he gets going, when he scores 10 points or more, the winning percentage for Utah State is so much higher. Brock Miller is that guy. He can score points. Utah State, you talk about how dangerous they can be. When this squad is shooting the ball, and they haven't done a great job of that this year, but if they get back to where they were a year ago, they are going to be really scary in March.
Cada up to 6 points and now 6 rebounds after reeling in that defensive board. Merrill just 5 points on 1 of 3 shooting in that first half. Abel Porter straightaway 3. Cada the offensive rebound and a foul underneath on Wyoming.
He was even blocked out by Hunter Thompson, but just Cada with the length that's 7 feet tall going straight up in the air. Here's the missed shot. Look, he just goes straight up. He's vertical. There's no over the back call there. He just goes straight up and he's able to take down the rebound.
Cada 7 foot, 245 pounds, native of Portugal. Sophomore season, battled a lot of injuries. And that bucket is going to count, a goaltending violation. It was Maldonado who pulled down the net. They'll believe they will give the bucket to Bean.
Yeah, you can't touch the net. You can't touch the rim. You can't touch the net. Somebody pulled down. You said it was Maldonado. Somebody pulled down on that net, and it made the ball move around the rim.
So credit Bean with the bucket, now up to 4 points. Wyoming Cowboys team, a very young squad, 10 underclassmen, 7 sophomores, including Hunter Maldonado, the man with the basketball who leads his team in points, rebounds, and assists. Hendricks still scoreless on the evening. The kick out to freshman Foster, trying to fight for his own rebound, and Cada
looked like
got it back.
Looked like Cada had pulled on the arm of Kenny Foster and got away with a foul.
No whistle from the refereeing crew of Vern Harris, John Higgins, and Larry Spalding.
Comes a double team.
They got him on the baseline. Nowhere to go. Ball will stay with the Aggies up by 11.
It's a great double team. It looked like to me that Hunter Maldonado was playing Cada. Cada was posting it up. Watch 24 Maldonado. Does he pull the rug out from underneath? A lot of times, no, he doesn't. A lot of times what happens, you're leaning as an offensive player onto the player that you're trying to post up on, and then they just kind of move back. There's nothing illegal about it, but you lose your balance because all your momentum's on them.
Brock Miller, back-to-back threes.
Huge, huge. 36% from threes a year ago. This year, 30%. A little bit of a sophomore slump. Father-in-law played at Utah State back in the 80s. Got engaged mid-season last year.
8-0 run for the Aggies with those 2 3-pointers from Miller. Under 10 on the shot clock as Hendricks still cold. 0 for 6 now. All 6 of his field goal attempts have been from 3. Bean floats one up. Not sure if he thought he was trying to pass it to Cada or not. It was an awkward shot nonetheless. Quick touch pass. Maldonado finds Quan Marble in the corner. Marble over his last 6 games, 10 points, 3 rebounds on 49% shooting for a guy who's only averaged 5 points per game so far in his freshman year. And he's really, as Coach Alan Edwards told us pregame, come on strong in the second half and found his footing as a freshman.
Oh.
Merrill lipping out the 3. Will stay with Utah State. Under 16 minutes to go here in the second half. Brock Miller with 2 3-pointers here to start the half. The Aggies up by 14. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Pedigree. Pedigree, feed the good.
Back in Laramie, Wyoming, a little bit of a basketball history here in Laramie. Kenny Sailors, part of the 1943 NCAA championship team here at Wyoming. The inventor, Eric, of the basketball jump shot. Can you imagine basketball without the jump shot? He just died a few years ago, unfortunately, in 2016, but lived in Laramie most of his life, also lived in Alaska. They just erected a statue outside that was completed in 2017. He was a United States Marine that fought in World War II. And how did he come up with the basketball jump shot? Well, he couldn't shoot over his older brother, so he jumped. And that's how it started.
Could you imagine playing in a game when he unveiled the jump shot? How much confusion there must have been on the floor.
What would be comparative to that now? Like the basketball, the jumper dribble?
I don't know what it would have been like. Brock Miller, meanwhile, talk about a jump shot. 3 3-pointers, a heat check for him here in the second half. An 11-0 run over the last 3.5 minutes for the Aggies.
It's huge for Brock Miller in Utah State. He has been in a bit of a slump.
Maldonado matches on the other end. I was about to say, coming out of the break, Richie, that Maldonado has not had a lot of touches for Wyoming. He's up to 10 points now, but only 6 field goal attempts for their leading scorer. They need to get him more involved.
I think they got to give him the basketball some more. Before he was granted a medical red shirt last year, he had great stats as well. 14 and 7, good 3-point shooter, but had some back spasms after he landed directly on his sciatic nerve in December last year. Got the medical red shirt, and here he is, back as a sophomore.
Fighting for the held ball. Possession in favor of Utah State. Brock Miller now 3 of 5 from 3-point range, 11 points to lead all scorers in this game. Sam Merrill turns the corner, high off the glass, and Merrill coming ever so close, and he'll get it by the end of this season. 2,000 career points. He's on his track to do so.
He might get that by the end of next week.
Yeah, he's up to 1,930 and change. To do my math during the next break. Back-to-back threes for Wyoming. Greg Milton III, sophomore from Elks Grove, California, making his first appearance. Alfonso Anderson spots up. And Milton comes in for the rebound, trying to make the most of his limited minutes here for the Cowboys. Hand check foul up top as Quan Marble was moving inside.
Tell you got to give a lot of props to both these teams for their defensive efforts. I mean, especially in the first half, neither team shot the ball great. 38% for Utah State, 25% for Wyoming in the first halves. Now that's changed a little bit as Utah State's starting to cook a little bit here in the second, but defense has been terrific for both squads. This is an extremely low-scoring game.
Had some spurts of offense, however, over the last couple of minutes. Marble missing the floater. Alfonso Anderson, the long rebound for the Aggies. Utah State so far here in the second half, Richie, has not turned the ball over. They turned it over 8 times in that first half. They averaged 12 on the season, so they've calmed down a little bit as Merrill blocked out of bounds.
Well, we talk about Sam Merrill's shooting prowess, but this is what, 2 of the last 3 possessions he has driven into the paint. And I've always said it, he's unassuming. He's not gifted with a lot of quickness, but he uses his speed and his high IQ and his savvy ability to know when he can pick his times to drive and get an angle on his opponent. He does a great job at it. That's what made him over the years such a dynamic player for Utah State.
Hendricks called for his second foul. Shot clock resets to 20 for the Aggies' offensive possession. Look at that. Good move. Alfonso Anderson can't finish. Got his own rebound. Miller, he wants it. Oh. He's looking for his fourth three-pointer of the second half. Now Maldonado goes to work with the left hand. Milton inside. Thompson, a little quicker pace now for the Cowboys. Good defense. As Thompson was swallowed up by Anderson and Bean. Sounds like a law firm. Anderson coming back in transition. Quick possession for the Aggies, giving Wyoming more opportunities with the basketball.
Well, you know what Wyoming's doing is they're spreading the floor. They have the one guy down inside. That's Hunter Thompson, who picks and pops, comes out on the perimeter himself quite a bit. Here's his pick. See if he pops. That time he rolls. But they're looking to drive. Turn the corner, drive downhill, get a piece of the paint offensively.
Second chance opportunity now. Thompson kept it alive, keeps it alive again from going out of bounds. Brock Miller has it for the Aggies. Merrill to his left, and again, Hendricks called for the foul. The bucket does not count, but Hendricks now a couple fouls here over the last minute and a half, trying to keep up with Sam Merrill.
It's hard to do. You see Sam Merrill here, he's crafty. I mean, that's a lot of players would not garner that foul. They wouldn't get that. He knows how to position himself in a way where the defense is off balance, and he'd get a foul called on him.
Now foul off the ball before the inbound on Hunter Maldonado. That's a second on him. Diogo Brito, Sean Bairstow into the game for the Aggies. Amy Cada back out there as well. Brito with a head of steam in the left-hand finish.
Just bullies his way to the basket. You see how good of a driver he is. He's 6'6". 205, 210, plays a small forward spot, but he can play the point guard if needed as well. He's a great ball handler.
Wyoming down by 15. They haven't scored in 2.5 minutes. And now a foul will send us to a break. Miller, Brito, hot shooting here in the second half for the Aggies. Richie Brock Miller, the hot hand for the Aggies here in the second half.
3 of 6 from 3. You see that quick release he has, and I feel when he gets down low in a stance, he gets really high on that jump shot. He's a terrific shooter when he does so, and basketball runs in his blood. One brother played at Harvard, another one at Dixie State. Dad played at BYU, Hawaii, and here he is.
All 3 of his three-point field goals have come here in the second half on 4 of attempts, leading all scorers with 11 points. And a reminder that 3 top 20 teams highlight our full day of Saturday college hoops on ESPN and the ESPN app. Number 13, Kentucky, takes on number 17, Auburn at 6 p.m. Eastern. Then number 9, Duke, squares off against Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. That's at 8 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. 2.5-minute drought for Wyoming on offense. Hendricks, who's the second leading scorer for the Cowboys this season, is without a point in the game. 0 for 6 from 3. Milton missing the long 2. And it will be Cowboys basketball as Hunter Thompson continues to fight on the glass.
Well, I like what I see. I mean, we keep talking about how great a shooter he is, but he posted up strong and probably would have got himself a clean shot off if Cada hadn't came and double teamed. And then you see him fighting underneath for a rebound.
Good battle between those two. Cada already up to 10 rebounds in the game. That should have been a carry. Quan Marble got away with one.
Now you're seeing his versatility. He's trying to drive the ball. Hard to drive on Bean. I'm telling you, Wyoming's getting some really good looks at the three-point basket.
Hendricks 0 for 7. All of his field goal attempts have been from 3. Merrill, baseline. Oh, wow. Yeah. Takes the contact and finishes.
I mean, he almost established contact. He saw the contact coming, put his body into it, took the hit, and finished.
Halfway to his season average. He's got 9 so far. we've seen Merrill get beat up in a lot of games this season. He had a black eye on the road against Air Force. Caught an elbow that wasn't whistled. Brito on the break finds Bean. No, Maldonado might have got a piece of it.
What a pass, though. What a pass.
Maldonado back the other way. Brito picked his pocket.
I like this. Coach Craig Smith telling his team, hey, slow down. No, it's been a little bit wild the last couple of possessions. Slow it down. Regain control.
At their largest lead of the game at 17. Free to milk some clock if they would like. Under 10 on the shot clock, under 10 and a half to play here in regulation. Merrill against Hendricks. Hendricks hits the deck, and a beautiful baseline finish by Diogo Brito.
That could be play of the game right there. The pass and the finish combined.
And Coach Alan Edwards not happy with what he's seeing from the Wyoming Cowboys. Their largest deficit as Merrill gets loose. And how about this feed to Brito, Richie?
We keep talking about Merrill being a great scorer, but what about the dish? Love it. All-around player, Sam Merrill, last year's player of the year.
Midway through the second half, largest lead of the game for the Utah State Aggies, up 46-27 over Wyoming. And Richie, you know, we talked about Wyoming. It's a young team, 10 underclassmen. They've yet to win a game in conference, and you go up against a guy like Sam Merrill. We've seen here in this second half what kind of headaches he can provide defensively, especially to a young team like Wyoming.
Yeah, Wyoming, you know, they've really struggled. They haven't won a game in Mountain West play yet, but they're not as bad as their record. They did lose by 1 point at Nevada against UNLV. They lost that game in overtime here. They've had some closer games. Nice hook shot by Nimi Keita. One area that they've struggled in tonight, well, two. I mean, they're 5 of 23 from 3. That's an area they're usually not so bad at. And they've also, the last couple of games, have averaged 10 offensive rebounds. Tonight, they got 4. So they're not getting those second chance opportunities they typically get. Part of that's because of the size of Utah State down inside. They've completely dominated Utah State, 18 points in the paint, but also doing a number on the rebounds as well. Over 13 more rebounds than Wyoming in this game.
Hunter Maldonado up to a dozen points. Good finish by Justin Bean. Took that extra dribble, baited the defense. Just a really, really smart player.
High IQ, high IQ. But see, Bean always seems to be in the right place. Offensively off the ball, and then also anytime he's trying to go for a rebound. Nice shot.
Step back 3 for Quan Marble III. He's going to be a really good player. Just a freshman from Denver, and that's been a recruiting hotspot for Wyoming, especially in this last recruiting class with Marble and Foster, both freshmen from the Denver, Colorado area. Foster was actually the Gatorade Colorado Player of the Year last year in high school. Just about 2 hours and 15 minutes from Denver here in Laramie. 2 on the shot clock as Brito missing the 3. Bairstow was coming in for the offensive rebound, and he got shoved in the back, and a foul on Hendricks.
I'm with you on Quan Marble. You know, shooting 50% from the field. He's 35% from behind the 3. You see those stats over the last 6 games. It takes freshmen oftentimes at least half a season to really feel good in playing college basketball. Division I college basketball, the speed of the game is so much faster than it was when you were in high school. I mean, heck, you could say that about all levels of college basketball. It is a faster game. The best of the best are playing college basketball, and you have to adapt to that mentally, physically. He's done that. He's going to be a really good player.
Back-to-back fouls on the Cowboys. Hendricks picks up his 4th, and then it was Quan Marble picking up his 3rd.
Look at that basketball move, man. That's like a hot potato, as they say. And off the hands, great deflection by who else? Quan Marble, the freshman that we just talked about. But they're moving the ball well. Utah State's, they're moving that ball from side to side.
Talk about coming on in the second half of the season. Marble over the last 6 games, doubling his previous points per game, which was at 5. It's the last 6 games of the season for Marble. 10 points, 3 rebounds, nearly 50% shooting. And really, Wyoming going forward, they're going to need guys like Marble to step up because they cannot solely rely on Hunter Maldonado to get all their offense.
No, I need more offense from Jake Hendricks, Hunter Thompson. Those three players are their top three scorers. But, I mean, they are running into a terrific basketball team in Utah State. So I think everybody knew this was going to be a tough challenge for Wyoming, but I honestly thought they would shoot the ball better at home.
Bairstow beating everybody back.
Trending freshman from Australia.
Freshman from Brisbane. 7 minutes to go here in the second half. Eric Rothman, Richie Schuler with you in Laramie, Wyoming. Enjoyed my time here in Laramie.
You did.
I did.
You did some shopping today.
I did. My daughter some cowboy boots.
How old's your daughter?
She's about a year and a half.
She could sleep in those cowboy boots.
I bought them big. She'll grow into them. Some big cowboy boots. I tell you what, Western wear is not cheap.
No.
I was talking to the ladies at Martindale's, the Western store here. I was asking them about the cowboy hats. I said, what's the most expensive cowboy hat here? $400.
Really?
$400.
Which one did you buy? Can you pack it in your suitcase?
No, you could buy one of the carrying cases if you wanted to carry it on.
Can you imagine the person sitting next to you or in front or behind if you're wearing the cowboy hat?
There's some people in the stands here, the student section, where it's a big cowboy hat supporting the Cowboys, the Pokes, as Greg Milton III, the sophomore, hit the three. And a timeout on the floor with 6:08 to go. Bairstow, just foot speed, the freshman beating everybody down the floor. Just an unthinkably horrible week that everybody has been experiencing after the unexpected loss of Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others in that helicopter crash in Southern California. Larry Nance Jr., former Wyoming player, very close to Kobe, having played with him for Kobe's last season. Saw videos of Nance during a tribute to Bryant a couple days ago. Tears, having to go to the locker room to compose himself. And I think Richie, a week that most of us would rather soon forget and wish didn't happen.
It makes me sad just thinking about it. It's made me sad for the last few days. But Larry Nance Jr. drafted by the Lakers in 2015 after that great Wyoming Cowboys team that went to the NCAAB tournament. They had 6 wins over top 25 teams. He was the 27th pick for the Lakers, so he was in uniform when Kobe had that finale, that 60-point game that he had in his last career game, and then he was part of the overhaul, the trade to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and yeah, very difficult for everybody. Anybody that had any bit of a fan or friendship or relationship with Kobe Bryant.
You know, it's interesting. You and I live in Southern California. We're both transplants to Southern California. And one thing I've told people, you know, friends of ours from Ohio, where we're both from, asking us, and obviously everybody who's a sports fan or not has felt the sadness around the tragedy. But you live in Los Angeles, you know, Kobe Bryant is just otherworldly. And you don't have to be from LA originally to feel it. His presence, his image. He was very active in the community post-basketball life. You know, myself having worked for the Lakers organization and their G League for the past decade, the reverence for him within that organization with the Buss family, and you know, his daughters obviously, and his wife being at games and being very visible. Just terrible. 20-point lead for Utah State, and we'll speak of the NBA. There's really no good transition, but our NBA Wednesday doubleheader as all these teams continue to reel and come back from Sunday's tragedy. Brooklyn taking on the Pistons at 7:30 Eastern, and then it's the Rockets taking on Portland. And it all starts with Stephen A's pregame at Sports Center on 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Under 5 minutes to go. Merrill loses it. Merrill's had a really nice second half. Had that 3 while we were chatting about Kobe Bryant. He's got 12 points, 4 of 8 shooting. Merrill, as the Aggies looking to slow things down here a little bit. But Richie, you and I, and you more so than me, have been following these Aggies on behalf of ESPN around the country this season. And you can speak better than anybody, but this is just a different Aggies team than we saw a month ago, or even 6 weeks ago.
A third of their games, I think I've had now, and it's remarkable. I think Coach Craig Smith does an outstanding job of keeping his team in check, keeping them confident, not letting them lose confidence. Like I said earlier, it's well documented that they had that 3-game losing stretch. They've also battled a lot of injuries through that as well. I did the game when they were at St. Mary's. I believe they were missing Kada in that game. They were missing Karbowski, who just had an appendectomy. And, you know, a guy that, 2 big men right there that were typically would have been playing big minutes in that contest. Now, Karbowski hasn't played a whole lot since that appendectomy, but I feel like Coach Craig Smith has found a way to make these guys competitive with different styles of play. You know, before they had Kada back, they were very much perimeter oriented, 4-around-1, similar to Wyoming, what with bigger bodies and I think better shooters and some more polished guys, older players. Now they've had to learn how to play with a guy who can play with his back to the basket, but also help hide some of your defensive mistakes because he's such a great rim protector. And now they've just started to figure it all out. And this is a team that I have said over and over again will be top 3 in conference standings by the end of it.
Looking to move to 6-4 in Mountain West play. On their way to doing that, under 4 minutes to go. Up by 20 on the road against Wyoming. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Progressive Insurance. Get slam dunk savings today. Visit progressive.com. At our Wendy's Wooden Watch, we go to Marquette. Marcus Howard, 28 points per game this season. First in the Big East, 41% from 3. Points per game also leads Division I. 3 assists to go along with it. And $1 million smile, if I might say so myself.
I would say so. You know, and the only thing going against Marcus Howard is that Marquette's 14-6. They're 4-4 in their conference. And I think he's an outstanding talent. But normally, oftentimes, that Wooden Award is going to go to a top player on a powerhouse team. Marquette is not quite there this year. But, hey, still a lot of season left to be played.
You know, you and I, we wake up as well as a lot of ESPN broadcasters this time of year with an email from Joe Lunardi and his daily bracketology. And he has right now 12 teams from the Big Ten making the NCAA tournament. There's 14 teams in the Big Ten, which that math doesn't check out anyway. But he has a dozen right now in the tournament. That is incredible. The worst, quote-unquote worst, would be Michigan and Ohio State, who have plummeted in the rankings and are now 3-6 in conference. Both were top 5 teams earlier this year.
We used to talk about the SEC and the ACC being the best teams or best leagues in college basketball. Not so much now. Got to give it to the Big Ten.
Virginia, big win today over Florida State as they try to work their way back in. Virginia was on Joe Lunardi's, I believe, first 4 out this morning. Either first 4 or second 4. A big win over number 5 Florida State today might bring them back into conversation. Alfonso Anderson backing his way in 3 minutes ago here in regulation.
Well, this has been a rough game for the very young Wyoming Cowboys, but they do have a claim to fame here. You know, Eric, I'm going to quiz you here.
Oh, goodness.
Where is the tallest building in the state of Wyoming?
Are we in it?
Well, the reason that Wyoming, the University of Wyoming, can have a claim to fame here is that, yes, White Hall, the 12-story dormitory on campus, is the tallest building in the state of Wyoming. You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know. And you also told me there's only 2 escalators in the state of Wyoming.
In the entire state. Did you know that Wyoming is the first state to allow women the right to vote? Passed in 1869. First vote was placed in 1870.
Alfonso Anderson. Not him. Doing pretty good.
He's coming along. I'm telling you, I think he had a difficult time with the adjustments of new players getting healthy and roles changing, and he has just done terrific. He's been a great backup for Nimi Kada since his return.
I didn't mean to cut you off from your Wyoming trivia.
So did you want to hear more?
Sure, why not?
Well, okay. Well, you know what the horse on the license plate of the Wyoming license plate is named?
The name of the horse?
Yes.
Is it Mr. Ed?
It's the old steamboat, man. Old steamboat.
Old Steamboat.
Yes.
Of course. Could I recognize him from his shadowy picture?
And where does Wyoming stand of all 50 states as far as population, 1 through 50?
47.
50. 50. In a beautiful state at that.
Well, I've had a great time. I want to come back. This is my first trip to Laramie.
More people should come here because
Yes.
this is a beautiful landscape.
I gotta tell you, it's a quaint little downtown. Great breakfasts, some shopping. Really, really friendly people as well. Everybody's been extremely nice.
We don't get that in LA as much, do we?
No, we don't.
A little too busy in Los Angeles.
That's true. It's too good for us, Richie. There's a couple boys from Ohio. Who's got time for us?
That's a good point.
Under 1:30 to go. Both teams emptying the bench. Trevor Dorius into the game for Utah State. 3 on the shot clock. Anderson calling for it. He's got time. Wow. Alfonso Anderson. 13 points on the evening for him.
Anderson trending up. Sean Bairstow for the Aggies trending up.
Brito. And 1. Brito called for the foul. Quad Marble to the free throw line.
So those 3 players right there you just talked about. Those 2, and then you said Brito. What a bench that Utah State has. I really believe that if Utah State had been full strength from the beginning of the season on, would San Diego State be undefeated right now? Because even without being full strength, when they played each other the first time, it was a competitive game.
Keita did play in that game, but they didn't find out he was going to play until a couple hours before tip.
It wasn't the same play.
It wasn't the same. No, absolutely not. And Merrill and Merrill and Bean both dealing with high ankle sprains for that game and much of that stretch where Utah State suffered 3 losses in a row in 4 and 5 games. And we continue to see it. This will be 3 straight wins for Utah State and a team that is ready and healthy to go into San Diego State and give them a run for their money.
Well, that's the game I've been looking forward to for a long time.
February 1st.
That's right. It's coming up. Next game. And Utah State's playing their best basketball as they go into San Diego for that contest. And they're going to have a couple of home games after UNLV, Boise State. And conference tournament starts March 5th for the Mountain West.
You're going to want to avenge that loss to Boise State. You were at that game. 18-point deficit for Boise State in the final 4 minutes of the game. They come back and win. And Utah State, we talked about the 3-game losing streak, and then they come back, they win against Nevada, lose the heartbreaker in overtime to Boise State, but a team that could have folded at any point during that stretch, and a good credit is due to Coach Craig Smith for keeping their head on straight, and senior leaders like Sam Merrill, Diogo Brito, guys who have been around this program and didn't want to fall by the wayside, weren't going to let their teammates stop trying, and they've turned it around. And an opportunity, 3 wins in a row now, and going into San Diego State. If they can pull off that win, give them some confidence in the final month of the season, who knows what happens in Mountain West play in the postseason.
What do you think Craig Smith's telling the official right now?
John, you got a great head of hair. Jealous. That's what he's telling him.
You think so?
Yep.
We'll ask him after the game.
His team's up 26. What else does he have to worry about? Jay Turner into the game for Wyoming, looking to get on the scoreboard. Hayes Fornstrom flying in. Ball's loose with 12 seconds to go. Roche Grootfaam, and now Grootfaam and Jay Turner going after each other.
12 seconds left in the game. And look at Jay Turner, number 31, the young player. He's going after the loose ball. Now the whistle's blown. The whistle's blown, just let it go. And then Turner went after Anderson, it looked like.
He did.
So, yeah, this is not necessary. And, Turner just got into the ball game.
Turner got teed up. He might be thrown out. I'm not exactly sure.
He's trying to make an imprint to try to battle for more playing time. But you just have to be able to control your emotions. He's a freshman, hasn't played a lot on the season, only his 4th game of the year. And you want to, if you're Alan Edwards and coaching staff, get him in the game in games like this just to give him a little bit of experience. So, yes, not a smart move by the freshman Turner, but you know what? He's going to learn from it. And when he's a member of this team that gets a lot of playing time and he has a much stronger role, that learning lesson that just happened right there is going to pay off for the Cowboys. So, got to try to get his ears wet, try to get him some playing time. And but this is definitely a mistake he's going to have to learn from.
So the referee is sorting things out. We know for sure that Turner was called for the technical. Frankly, Roche Grutfam for the Aggies might be called for a technical as well. He kind of intimidation walking after Turner pushed Alfonso Anderson. I didn't see a signal, but the referees were yelling at Grutfam.
I didn't feel like he was being malicious. I thought he was just kind of walking towards Turner like, yo, man, calm down.
We're going to get an explanation here from Larry Spalding.
Double contact, dead ball technical on 10, 31, we're both out of the game.
Thank you, Larry. So Alfonso Anderson and Turner are both ejected. I'm surprised that it's Anderson.
I am too.
I don't know what Anderson did to warrant being thrown out.
Well, maybe we can get another look at it because I'm not sure either. I'm kind of surprised by it, to be honest. But
I wouldn't have been surprised if Grutfam got thrown out. I don't know if that was warranted either, but Anderson was the one who got pushed and didn't really react. At least it didn't seem like. Well,
oh, there it is, right
yeah,
there.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great job by the officials to see that. Man, just a sour way to end the game for Utah State, though. And Anderson playing so well.
Anderson and Taylor tossed. Under 10 seconds to go here in the game. And one for Quan Marble, who continues to impress. Up to 13 points on 5 of 11 shooting in this game. 4 rebounds, 4 assists for him. And he's just going to continue to get better. And this really young squad for the Cowboys will continue to get better as well. They've got some studs and Marble, Maldonado, and would expect to see Taylor and Foster continue to improve as well. But just too much for the Cowboys as Utah State improves to 17-6 on the season, now 6-4 in conference play.
And both teams played good defense. I thought Wyoming just struggled to really shoot the basketball, but Wyoming holding Utah State 10 points under their average on their home floor. But wow, Utah State holding the Cowboys to 45 points. Alan Edwards, his squad for the Cowboys, they're in very much rebuild mode, but this Utah State team is built for conference championships. Got the regular season in the tournament last year. This year, regular season probably not likely, but I've said it once before, I'll say it again today, tournament championship is well within reach.
Merrill with 14 points led the way for the Aggies. Alfonso Anderson with 13, and Brock Miller, who got hot from 3, at 11 points. All 3 of those players in double figures for the Aggies. Nimi Keita finished with 8 points and 12 rebounds. We thank you for joining us here in Laramie, Wyoming, as the Utah State Aggies have won 3 in a row and march on to take on San Diego State on February 1st. For our entire crew and my partner in crime representing the 513, Richie Schuler, I'm Eric Rothman saying so long from Laramie, but the Utah State Aggies rolling in and defeating the Cowboys 68-45 your final. Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We will see you later.